Well, I was pretty terrified to go in this place. Beautiful as it was a great big mansion out in the country that had been restored. It was gifted to rehab, and they restored it into a rehab center. Well, it was beautiful. They had a dog, and it was nice. So my wife drove me up, and when we pulled in the driveway, there was an old man walking up and down the driveway, he's screaming all kinds of weird stuff. There was people sleeping on the lawn with no shirts on, men, I guess, and a bunch of guys playing basketball, yelling and screaming at each other. That was terrifying, just terrifying. Turns out, I later found out, the guy walking up and down the drive and screaming had headphones on and was singing along to some kind of song. Guys laying out, they were on their break, and they're just laying out in the sun, enjoying life. Basketball guys, same thing. Turned out I made a couple really good friends right away, and hung out with them the whole time I was there. We all came in on the same day. One went home early, he quit, but the other one gave him a ride home at the end of it all. I did really good in rehab. I felt good. The only problem is, just after I got there, a friend of mine passed away from alcohol. Blood clot in his throat went out, and he drowned in his own blood. So one of the counselors there, I already knew, and he said, "I'll take you to the funeral if you want to go." But I knew I was in the right place, and I said, "No, I'm gonna pass. I think I need to stay here," and I did. And I was kind of proud of that, but a little depressed too. So I was talking about rehab. I thrived in rehab. I really liked it a lot, and I was almost afraid to leave. But I was eager to get back home and start my new life, and I had lots of support with some friends and stuff. So I wasn't afraid of drinking or anything. I just was not sure, about stuff. But it wasn't long after I got home that I learned, that they wanted people to come back to rehab and talk to the people who were there as, somebody who had been through it and that. And within a couple months, I was going there all the time. And that's where I started speaking to the people there. And started to feel good about it, because it was only 20 people, 20 guys. And it was, I really felt good about it. I thought, well, this is something I could do. Plus, I was going to meetings all the time, and closed meetings in Toronto where you sit in a circle and talk. So I was enjoying that as well, and opening up. Felt good to just let a lot of stuff go and talk about the future and have a future, things like that. So in the beginning, things just got better and better and better for me. And I started to do things I always wanted to do. I volunteered for things. I started stuff and actually finished it. I had got a new house, not a new house, but a bigger house, another house, and I started working on it. And doing stuff like that, hammering nails and sawing wood. And my parents moved in with us, and they couldn't look after themselves anymore. So that was also something I was proud of, looking after them and helping them. So it was different. And then I went on a list for Toronto rehabs of helping newcomers when they get out of rehab, that help them get set up, find them a sponsor, go to some meetings with them, just in that interim when you first get out, and that kind of thing. And I started to really enjoy that too. So here we are. We just took the dogs for a run, and they're breathing pretty heavy back there. That's what you hear. We're just heading down one of the dirt roads near the house. This is what it's like here in the middle of nowhere where we live. So I was talking about volunteering in my first 5 to 10 years of sobriety. When I got sober, a lot of things changed, especially me. And I started to do things I always wanted to do, but just never knew how or never had the ability, which is like volunteering and helping people and just doing good stuff for a change. It started out with handing out needles and condoms downtown to prostitutes and things, collecting clothing and stuff for homeless people. And it progressed from there to actually making money and helping out charities. One of the things I did was helped establish a place for homeless kids, where we had this restaurant where they could come and learn how to write a resume, learn how to run a cash register, learn how to be nice to people, get tips if they are. And we ran meetings in the back for them, all the while trying to counsel them into getting in touch with their families, and, maybe trying to get off the street was one thing. I started a lot of meetings, new meetings in new areas, helped with that. I started speaking a bit, and especially at the going to back to the treatment center and doing that. I started running a car show for charity, which brought in a lot of money. It was massive. It turned into this massive thing, and it took me half a year to get it all together, get people to show up with their cars. We'd have probably maybe 300 to 500 cars come and go all day, and thousands of people come in to see them. Had vendors. We had a band playing all day. People selling stuff. Oh, it was amazing. It was great. I started to run that. And I actually was a chairman of a committee and made over $250,000 in a year for our charity, and handed that over. That was really something. Pictures in the newspaper, things like that. I was writing articles for the paper and for some magazines even. I got asked to do it. Lots of offers of things to do and stuff, but I just got really, really overwhelmed. So as I was saying, around 10 years in or so, I started getting really overwhelmed with all the things I was doing, and I was too busy to go to meetings. I was too, caught up in everything, and I just started to falter and get miserable, and all my bad traits started coming back. I was not doing really well, and I think maybe I can see how somebody can relapse or crash, because I almost crashed, and I didn't feel good physically. Oh, excuse me. Everything just built up. I felt I was being used by people, and I just started hiding out, much like an addiction, like my drinking. I just kind of pulled away from everything and everybody. I passed off my car show to somebody else. I was no longer making money for charities. I had a business that wasn't doing good, and it was actually really failing, and I had a good chance of losing everything I had. That was not a great time. It was awful. And once the dust all settled, and I lost my house, my cars, everything else, we managed to hang on to our boat, which was luckily big enough to live on. So we decided to move on to there, because we really had nowhere else to go. We did, but we didn't want to bother anybody. We didn't, so we put everything we had in storage, and we moved on to the boat, which was probably the best recuperation I could have done. There's something about living on the water that is really, really healing. So we moved to Toronto Island, which is just across the bay from Toronto, with a beautiful view every night of the city, and lived there on our boat for a couple of years.